Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Leopard 2 OTCo, of which is essentially a premium Leopard 2A4, but is a model used by the Netherlands Training and Education Command. This is a currently 10.7 BR premium medium/main battle tank in the French Ground Forces tech tree. This vehicle pack currently costs $69.99 USD and comes with 2,500 Golden Eagles, 20 days of premium time, and of course the OTCo or the OTCo itself. I'll probably be switching between saying OTCo and OTCo throughout this video. With that said, in this review, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this tank, including its stats, how it plays, I'll give it strengths and weaknesses, I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing because it means the world to me and because you'd be a cool person for doing so. But without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I place a stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its cannon size, its power to weight ratio, and its reload rate. Now for how it plays. The Leopard 2 OTCo is essentially just a Leopard 2A4, but with Vismod camo nets, a change from two MG3A1 LMGs to two FN Mag 6040 LMGs, of which fire around 200 rounds per minute slower than the MG3A1s, 4 fewer smoke grenades, and a lack of a dozer blade. That's really it though. The fire rate difference in the LMGs is likely to make no difference in gameplay whatsoever, as they are too small caliber to destroy anything in the first place, and the things that are even marginally vulnerable to them, such as aircraft or unarmored vehicles, aren't likely to have any meaningful damage dealt or shots hit from the FN Mags over the MG3A1s. Getting into the weeds aside, the Leopard 2 OTCo is a great if boring vehicle. It has a largely sufficient armament, fantastic mobility, and very good though not necessarily great survivability. This all makes for a very well-rounded vehicle that can perform any number of roles successfully, including frontlining, especially in down tiers, flanking, base capping, supporting, and even sniping, though the last of these roles will be largely dependent on your positioning, as frontal shots from the 120mm cannon mixed with the more powerful DM23 APF SDS will have lower success than you might want, as it can only go through up to 408mm of armor at max. This isn't bad, but it really isn't good, which more or less means that flanking will be one of your main roles, as it will allow you to strike at the weak side armor of tanks more often than not. This is assisted by the fantastic mobility on the OTCo, along with its great optics, turret traverse, and reload rate, which can be as low as 6 seconds. Heck, because of the great cannon depression and excellent turret cheek armor, the OTCo can be extremely successful in the hold down position, with the turret cheeks being what is mainly exposed, as they will absorb most enemy shells very well. This is all to say that, while it isn't extremely good in any one way outside of mobility, the OTCo has good enough or very good systems working in tandem that it allows for it to be played in essentially any way that you might want, which in turn means that it is among the most versatile tanks in the entire game. Now with that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. It has blowout panels to protect against ammo rack detonations that would otherwise annihilate the crew and destroy the tank. Second, it has excellent mobility with a great power to weight ratio of 27.2 horsepower per ton, a top speed of 68 km per hour, and a reverse speed of 31 km per hour. Third, relative to other tanks, the frontal armor on the Leopard 2A4 OTCo is fairly good, especially the turret cheeks. Fourth, it has excellent turret traverse rate of between 28 and 40 degrees per second depending on crew skill. For its fifth strength, it has very good but not great gunner's optics with between 4 and 12 times zoom. Beyond this, it has commander's optics, though only with night vision, not thermals. For its seventh strength, it features a 4-man crew, which is decent at this BR as many tanks only have 3 crew members. Beyond this, it has very good cannon elevation angles of between -9 and 20 degrees. And finally, it features premium RP and SL bonuses. Now for its weaknesses. While not bad, the OTCo, being a Leopard 2A4, only has Gen 1 thermals. Many nations are starting to gain Gen 2 and Gen 3 by this BR, which puts the OTCo at a slight disadvantage, though as I always say, Gen 1 is better than Gen none. Second, while traversing the cannon, almost every area outside of the front, glacis, and immediate sides of it will disable the cannon from having any aiming depression, and in some instances, may even aim the cannon at an elevation, especially over the engine deck. Third, while LMGs will do some damage to tires and aircraft, 2 of them is no replacement for a single HMG. For its fourth weakness, it has mediocre armor on the lower glacis that is fairly easily penned by APF SDS. There are also weak spots around the upper glacis that are large and easily penned, though the upper glacis area that is actually armored is decent though not great. For its fifth weakness, it has a large gunner's sight weak spot that is fairly easy for most APF SDS to pen. And finally, it has a gigantic ammo rack that sits right next to the driver that is not protected by blowout panels. Now with all that said, said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. First, for armament, I give it a 6.25 out of 10. At 10.7 BR, the armament on the OTCo is on the low end of great. It has somewhat middling DM23 APF SDS that have 408mm of armor pen at max, as well as only 2 LMGs, good gunner's optics, excellent accuracy, and Gen 1 thermals. Don't get me wrong, at 10.7 BR, the cannon and ammo combination of this vehicle are plenty good to get the job done, but they aren't overwhelmingly impressive, especially as other similar BR tanks can have upwards of 450mm of armor pen. In general, while the ammo and cannon are somewhat middling for this BR, the reload rate, optics, and turret traverse make it better than it otherwise would be. Now for mobility, I give it an 8 out of 10. While not quite as fast as the Type 90, the OTCo is easily one of the fastest MBTs in War Thunder. This mobility allows for you to play essentially any role that you might want, though really shines when you perform flanking or base capping, as those make excellent use of its excellent mobility. For survivability, I give it a 6.25 out of 10. While fairly decent, the survivability on the OTCo is not outstanding. In the past, I may have ranked the Leopard 2A4s and their variants slightly higher in this category, but times have changed and enemies have become deadlier in War Thunder, and also the BR has of course increased for this vehicle. On top of this, fewer people are using Heat FS as we get more and more premium tanks around this BR, and again, as the BR increases for this type of tank. The lack of a full complement of 16 smoke grenades kinda hurts, but having 12 smoke grenades really isn't bad either. Plus, if nothing else, you get a marginally useful camo Vismod that may, in some instances, help to keep you hidden compared to other Leopard 2A4s, but of course it does not protect against thermals, so you're still pretty much just as visible as any other vehicle out there. Otherwise, the turret cheek armor is excellent and the upper glacis armor is fairly good. Add in a 4-man crew and blowout panels and you get a tank in the OTCo that is fairly survivable, even considering its aforementioned weak spots. Now overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. In short, the mobility carries this vehicle to greatness, though there isn't really even one thing that stands out as being poor with the Leopard 2A4 OTCo. As stated before, it can play almost any role with good success, and to me, that is the gold standard when it comes to high tier MBTs in War Thunder. Now with all that said, do I recommend the purchase of the Leopard 2 OTCo? Yes, but only because it's a good and proven platform. Make no mistake, this is a Leopard 2A4 copy-paste vehicle with some extra pizzazz thrown on top of it in the form of Vismods and what are essentially marginal differences insofar as the LMGs are concerned, as they only have a 1/6 lower fire rate compared to the MG3A1s and also have the same armor pen stats found on most other Leopard 2s. Well, that and that it only has 12 smoke grenades, which is 4 lower than the standard Leopard 2A4 and 4 higher than the Christian 2, as well as no dozer blade. If you're looking for something a bit more unique and or fun, I would recommend the VBCI2 MCT30, though it is a lower rank and as such is not able to research through as much of the tech tree without penalty as the Leopard 2 OTCo. The OTCo also has higher RP and SL bonuses as well. Regardless, the Leopard 2 OTCo is a perfectly fine vehicle that would do pretty much everything that a player might ask for, even if it's the bajillionth iteration of the same vehicle currently in game. Personally, just because it's a bit dull and it's not a unique vehicle at all, I would advise to wait for a sale before purchasing it, but if you have the desire and the funds, the OTCo is still perfectly purchasable outside of sales too. And again, just because it's dull does not mean it's bad, because this is a great vehicle, if not an excellent vehicle through and through. So yes, I give it my recommendation for purchase, though with a preference again for sales, if you can wait for it, and I also give my Tankenstein seal of approval. Sure, the armament is not fantastic, but like the armor, it's good enough to still be pretty good, especially when combined with its fantastic mobility. I just wish that was fantastically unique too. Now with all that said, thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video, commenting on it, let me know what you guys think about this vehicle in the comments below as well as the video itself, and also if you don't mind, consider subscribing as that helps me out tremendously. But either way, thanks again and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care everyone.